ones that are, that's why they're changing my oils.
All right, it's 4 o'clock. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Did everyone have a chance to review the minutes? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the minutes from April?
Make a motion to approve the minutes from April.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Loud.
All right. Minutes approved. Topics from the floor. Is there anyone here who would like to speak?
I'm a citizen of St. Helens. And I've never been to a committee meeting before, and I'm just trying to advocate for RC crawlers in like a park area or.
If you'd like to come up, you can speak for
The table.
3 minutes.
What's your name? Kevin Loomis. Meet you. Hi, guys. I'm Kevin Loomis, and tomorrow I have 9 months clean and sober.
Congratulations.
I just graduated treatment. I am in a Criminon fellowship. And I've brought meetings into Pathways and hopefully soon to be the jail. I'm looking for some safe places to stay clean and sober outside. And we got McCormick Park where we go and do the Frisbee golf course, but it's not always the safest place to be driving our RC car because of flying objects. But I got a bunch of people that are in the same realm of cars as me, and we'd be willing to donate time and resources and labor and all kinds of stuff to make anything that we can get possible.
You do, is it mainly all rock crawling or is it?
We do, yeah, a lot of rock crawling trail. We'll make little trails, build little rope bridges out of, pallets and ropes and.
I assume you've been over by the BMX track over in those rocks?
Absolutely.
Yeah. See
Yeah.
people over there a lot since we pulled those trees out of there. I was gonna talk to somebody to see if they wanted us to expand on that over there, because there is some room you could do.
If we had
Stuff.
permission to make a spot, I mean, we have no problem wheelbarrowing rocks to a location and setting them up and.
How big of a footprint are you looking at? I mean, not your big dream, but just, something reasonable to start.
Just a little area and we'd be happy. I mean, we had a lot of fun in this small period of time. It would definitely bring other people in the same world to it,
You thinking like in that same area where the rocks are now, or?
Yeah, anywhere convenient for, we'll make it work. We just somewhere where we can call it the RC car world and rock crawling and advertise it and have people come and play with us.
I think if it's not a huge footprint, I think it's something we could make room for, as long as it's not where native plants are, where things like that are, and we're taking care of what we need to take care of. Yeah.
Awesome.
Are they mainly electric then?
Yeah, all electric. This front rear steer.
Well, that one doesn't look like it goes real fast. I've seen some of those almost
Yeah.
like a trophy truck where they could beat a car.
No, this one's very, very slow, but it's very aggressive.
Lots of wheel travel.
This was $150 ready to run out of the box at Hobbytown in Hillsboro. And I threw some tires on it, a different body and some different shocks and up the battery power a little bit. So it does crawl a little bit better. In a jam, it'll climb out of the hole and climb up some rocks. Pretty cool. So I built it in my buddy's backyard. We got a whole section in his little backyard all the way out in Forest Grove with rope bridges, and I built a platform in a tree and we up the wall, across the bridge, into the tree, down the tree, all over the rocks. It's just a far drive for me to go to Forest Grove all the time.
Well, Kevin, do you guys race them?
No, they're not fast.
I mean, you don't, but I mean,
No, it's pretty, you can get a row of 10 guys trying to get to the same spot, and They sell little winches for the things where you can like hook up a winch and go backwards. I mean, you go completely hands off on the thing and just make all the trucks do it like you're out in the woods.
It's
But
just,
cheaper-
it's just like real rock.
Cheaper alternative, yeah.
But cheaper than having the big thing.
Yeah.
Now, is that something, is there an area over there? You said you guys have been clearing some stuff out over by the
Yeah,
BMX.
and we
stand?
wanted to clear more of that, like where those like, sucker trees are coming out and stuff. We wanted, I think we got some more of that down, but we wanted to clean it up a little more, because what we want to get away from spots for kids to hide and do their,
Right.
they're not supposed to be doing up there. That's why that originally got opened up, was to get rid of that, because we were finding needles and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I'll give you my card and we should hook up and at least walk through.
Appreciate it.
Walk through and look at the area, and then I can come back, talk to these guys and see what we come up with. And, you know, it's not gonna be something right now where you're gonna have a big giant track, but but it's also something, we have some newer people with the BMX track now,
Yeah.
and you know, work with them and Paul, of course, and make sure we're not stepping on their feet. Any of
Right.
that stuff. So yeah,
Perfect.
let's look up and look into it.
Okay.
I see a lot of people doing that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So once you get an area, does your group want to take and modify the area by putting rocks and, you know, making
If-
features that you can use?
Absolutely.
Mostly what I see them doing, and I'm no expert at all. It looks natural still. It's not like it's gonna look like a mess or anything. It's gonna look like a bunch of big boulders with holes in it. And I mean, it's.
Yeah.
Like here and there.
What they
We
want.
can make it look like an actual walking trail just for the cars. You know, where we could walk next to them and drive on the rocks. I mean, well, I'm willing to put in all the labor possible.
It's a rock garden that you.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want it to be an eyesore, but I want to be able to have fun.
I was gonna say, I have some friends that are into that and I thought about getting into it myself, so if we need like a representative to be a liaison, I'd be happy to do that.
Thank
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
And it
you.
sounds like a lot of fun. And thank you, Buck, for taking time and
Buck. When?
Yeah,
Whenever you got time, you can call me tomorrow if you'd like.
all right, I'll give you a call tomorrow.
Yeah, just call my cell, and then if I don't answer, I'll get back to you.
All right, thank you. You guys have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
He's the actual head of the Parks Department crew. Your official title, kind of?
My official
maintenance Director.
Facility supervisor. Says nothing about parks.
Park facility?
Have a nice day, guys.
Thank you.
To take care.
Park a facility?
Sure.
Are there any other topics from the floor?
Oh, there's Paul now too.
I had his hand raised, Scott.
Yes, I know we're going on with the agenda. I believe the next item, I don't have anything in front of me. I was hoping to make a motion to move the Milton Creek up to begin with. If anybody would second it, I can tell you why.
You're wanting to move the Milton Creek item up to the top of the agenda?
If I could, I make a motion to that. And in order to
Second
discuss
that.
it, somebody has to second it so we can discuss it.
Yeah, Jerry seconded that. All in favor of moving item number 7
Okay,
up
great.
to item number 2?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
that was aye for me. All right, so let's move on to
Scott now.
Scott, Milton Creek.
Thank you. I'm on the road and I'm just trying to actually do my little bit here and then take off and get back on the road. I just wanted to let everybody know, Jerry and I met with the port and who we met with was Tyler Levine and Sean Clark and Gianna. And during that, our discussion went very well. They're all for it. They're actually looking to donate some of the land for the reserve and trail. And they are open to the idea, because some of that is drainage throughout there, of being able to go and make the trail further back. They have a few sites that could be developed in there, and I think it's going to be a challenge. So they're happy to, it seems like they're happy to let us to, utilize that for a trail. So that's what I wanted to say. Jerry, do you have anything about it?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course, I have something to say.
Clock is running. Oh, sorry.
Scott and I met. Scott was the primary person. I was kind of sitting there. And so we met with Sean Clark, who's the executive director, and Elliot Levin, who was our contact person. Okay, but he's not going to be. And then we met with Gina Cisco, who's their internal affairs manager. My understanding is she's taking another job. So be that as it may. So my takeaway from it, Scott, you could correct me if your fears are different, is one, they were very interested. They want to do this. Sean wants to do it. Okay, so that was the great thing. Number two, Sean is going to be Sean Clark, the executive director, is going to be the point of contact. And that's, I think, really a good thing because he's the head guy. And I would say then, Scott, this is something that you might want to weigh in on is, so one of the things Sean said, if I'm not phrasing it wrong, is he wants to meet with the city. So somewhere along the line, we got to decide what the next step is. So I'm putting words maybe in Sean's mouth, but I got the impression that he wanted to meet with John and wanted to meet with representatives of the Parks and Trails Commission. So we could start talking about what's going to happen. Then on Saturday after that meeting,
Jerry, could I interject here for a second?
sure can.
We do have the joint meeting that we're going to be discussing this on, and I believe a representative of the park or the port is going to be there. So I think we can, use that as a springboard for any further
Is this with the planning
discussion
commission,
with the
Scott?
port.
June.
With the planning commission? Yeah. So,
Yeah,
yeah, we got to decide on how we're going to move forward. Is the city going to change the zoning? Is the Parks Department let's try that again. Is the Port of Columbia County, are they going to keep the property and let us use it? Are they going to turn the property over to the city? This is not a short-term issue. There's got to be a lot of, I think, legal things
Right.
to go. And then Saturday after that, Elliot Levin, who's no longer going to be our point of contact. And Scott and I, we probably spent 3 hours, Scott, at least?
yes, it was 3 hours.
Yeah. And so, we walked the port property there
Wow.
along the side there to see where it is. And then when we came back, we looked back in there. So there's the port, there looks like there's definitely some property back there that the port can develop. Okay, but probably, we think there's 100-foot setback because Scott, we think it's forest property, right? And that has 100-foot setback. So, there's 100-foot setback that's a riparian zone, and that's from the high water mark. So, somewhere along the line, there's going to be this is a long-term project. It's going to have to, we're going to have to get it surveyed. I'm not sure how they figure out the high water mark, the average. There's just a lot of details that have to be worked out. And then
Jerry,
let me finish, Scott, and then I'll be done here. And so then the other thing is that was the meeting with the port. But then one of the things that I think most of us kind of wanted to see is, maybe Buck doesn't want to see this, but so in the future, we're not talking like next week or probably 2 or 3 years from now, is the city to set aside the old Boise Park so we could have a new, historic Boise Park and then trails along both sides of the creek there. And so the city has to and that has to be thrown into discussion somewhere too. Done, Scott.
okay, with you talking about the 100-foot setback, I don't think that's going to be an issue because they are open to, with the trail on that. And like you said, there isn't that much that they can develop in there. And they seem very open to whatever we need for a trail. And so I don't think, we need to really pin ourselves on 100-foot setback on that. Let's see, Elliot, he's not gonna be the point person anymore, but he had not been back there to the creek before. He had been the other portions of the port property, and he was quite amazed by the whole thing. And he's a very strong advocate for this. And he's trying to find somebody, anybody else on there that at the port that will be an advocate too. And he thinks it'll be pretty easy to be able to do that. So, like I said, it was a really good meeting, and it seems on the port side, it's all good to go. As far as the city side, as I said, last meeting, I met with Jacob. It seems like, it would appear it's pretty good chance that we would be able to get pretty much all what we're asking for. I met with John, but he's a bit difficult to pin down, and I understand that. So I was hoping to get a little more backing from the city, but I understand his position. One thing that was brought up in our meeting with the port, and Sean Clark brought this up, is with that railroad, the track going through there. That could be an asset for, any industry that might be developed, later on. So it might be something that they will not want to give up. Also, during our trip through there, we thought about, they're happy with the idea of using the bridge there. I forget what's the name of that bridge, but the
Bailey
wooden
Bridge,
bridge. The what bridge?
the Bailey Bridge.
The Bailey Bridge, that's it. They're happy for us to use that. They think it's a great idea. They just want to make sure, that it's stable enough for pedestrian traffic. So that's one thing on that. Then also when we passed by the railroad bridge, we came up with the idea of there could be a walkway underneath the bridge. If it's planked out, it wouldn't be that much to do to actually do that. So there's access to both sides of the reserve that we're looking at from underneath the bridge too. So that shouldn't be an issue. We wouldn't have to cross over the tracks. We can go under the tracks. That's another good important point. I think I hit most of the highlights. If anybody has any questions about what Jerry and I were up to.
Yeah, the part underneath the railroad bridge never even entered any of our minds until we were walking there and Scott said, hey, we could go underneath it. So, the bridge is in good shape. Railroads are tough to deal with, very tough to deal with. So I don't know what the legal aspects of that is, but if they would let us, build a platform, there's huge beams there. So it'd be a relatively easy process to put a walkway underneath the railroad bridge. And that would work out really great if that could ever happen.
And then, so we do have the joint meeting between the planning commission and city council on Wednesday, the 11th.
Which month?
June.
June. And I have been asked to be present as a liaison for the Parks Commission for that meeting. As they discuss the Mountain Creek project, and we have our parks meeting 2 days prior on the 9th. And so if there's anything between now and then that you guys would really like to solidify as far as I'm super hoping that we can go with an official ask for reserving a certain amount of that city owned property for the purpose of the Mountain Creek project, and then furthering the discussion there with the port and the city while everyone's there.
I'd like to remind everybody too that they did vote in December to make this reserve.
Yeah.
It's just that, we haven't fully defined it, and that's what we're hoping to do with.
Don't say
this
that again,
joint
Scott.
meeting. In December, the city council voted for, us for the reserve, to establish a reserve. So what we're trying to do is define the area. And I think hopefully with our joint meeting, that'll come about. And then also there is a change of zoning. When I was speaking with John, when I met with him, he wasn't aware that a zoning change was required, so there might be some discussion on that. So,
Probably John and Jacob, we need to get involved in that.
Yeah,
yeah,
all right.
but also I'd like to see if Lucas has visited out there and has he found any more stuff?
I was out there last night and on the port side of the property, finding more and more species that are only in a couple places in Oregon, so.
Yeah, well, when we met with Sean, he said, it's really nice for you to find those things, but if you could find them somewhere else. I was just joking. So, that was pretty much it on that.
Great. Did you have anything else on Mountain Creek before we move on?
Oh, we're gonna do that now? Oh, Milk Creek? Oh, okay. Not the Urban Trail. We'll
Yeah.
do business later.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, thank you so much, Scott.
Thanks for
Where are
moving
you,
all up
Scott?
for me. What's that?
Where are you?
I'm in Red Lodge, Montana, right by a park. So-
Perfect.
Yes, it is. I appreciate you guys letting me move it up. And so I'm gonna be leaving now and I will review the rest of the meeting. So,
Okay,
Enjoy, drive safely.
all right, bye, everybody.
bye, thank you.
Right there.
All right, moving on, to the next item. So I'd like to continue doing these little roundtable topics. I very much enjoyed the one at the last meeting. And so this is just kind of a little question again to get us all, teamwork mindset, all on the same page, but also really great for kind of brain mapping, plan mapping, that kind of stuff. So today's topic question I would like to ask you guys, and just, keep your answers pretty short for the sake of moving on, but if you could add one single item to a new master plan, what would it be? Howard? Okay.
My mind is racing. There's so many. I'm
I go first, more
Okay.
parks employees.
More parks employees.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, if you could add more parks employees, what would be a great number of parks employees that you think that you could benefit from, like right now?
Right now in the spring, I could use 3 more.
Yeah.
Ooh, that was
Yeah.
a good guess. I thought it was Boy Scout. Oh,
Okay, how about you, Lucas?
I really like the idea of the urban trail, but I don't know what else to add to that, really. I just think it's a really good idea that kind of connects the community.
And you, Nick?
I'm gonna piggyback off the gentleman that joined us this morning or earlier. I think a rock crawler park would be a neat idea.
Yeah, that was really fun.
RC cars.
For RC cars, yeah.
How about you, Jerry?
At Great Cliffs Park, I would like to see a fenced in off leash dog park, so people can, maybe up on that upper part of that, not up that whole upper section, but maybe a section of it. So that people that visit the town and boats and stuff, and people that live down that area can, and that area is, I will say, not very muddy because it's almost solid rock. Is that right, Buck?
It'll still get muddy, but it won't be as bad as some spots, yeah.
Yeah. Are you ready, Howard?
Yeah, we'll see if I can make it sound reasonable. I would have taken Bucks, but he said that already. I'm gonna say continuing the great work that we're doing with trying to get trails, even though they may not happen in our lifetime, but trying to set aside the land for these future
Mm.
trails as our community grows, that there's 2 or 3 different trails that we would love to see happen. So keeping our focus on trying to expand in trails and more places for people to walk.
Yeah, so great.
Where you see, I'm gonna die in the next 5 or 6 years.
No, no, but I don't know. I mean, the preserve we're talking about, I mean, some of that may, it's some of it's futuristic, the Fifth Street right away trail, some of that's futuristic. If we weren't putting the seeds out there for this
Yeah.
stuff, it would never happen.
And the Columbia Boulevard overlook, there's still a lot of things we've talked about that's not gonna happen
Right now.
right now.
But if we keep it in the master plan.
How about you, Lynn?
Chance.
I agree with Buck. We need more maintenance, parks maintenance in order to keep the parks up the way they should be.
How about you, Paul? Paul? You wanna chime in? Okay. One thing that I would love is some, plant identification signage, especially in places like the Botanical Gardens and Nob Hill. Because we have such beautiful, plants. It'd be really great to have the little placards, just those little signage. With the plant name and maybe something special about it, because there's the educational opportunities, I think, would be, boundless.
Almost a lot of our most beautiful plants are only there for a little while.
I know.
Part of the time, the sign would just be showing a piece of dirt.
Well, but knowing that it's
But
there,
there's still, yeah.
right? Just a little picture. You could have a picture of it when it is in bloom.
Well, you could put
right?
the QR code on.
And flora.
It'd be better to take it down when it's not there so it doesn't get destroyed or stolen.
That could be it too.
So it's only there for a short time. You might be able to use it for a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lose it.
You're so cynical.
Realistic.
Oh, Paul, okay, did you want to chime in and answer if you could add one thing?
I think he said his boss just called him and he's tied up.
Oh.
He left a little message there.
Oh, is that what the message
I
was?
wasn't sure if he was done or not. Okay, all right. Well, no, those are all great and wonderful things. Thank you guys so much for chiming in, and I love that. Part of the reason why I wanted to bring that up today goes into our parks assessment tool topic. And one of the driving factors for me recommending the parks assessment tool was to gather information for the potential of a future master plan. And unfortunately, just due to logistics and time constraints and everything else, without having a dedicated obligation for each person to go and visit a specific park and turn them in, the return on these have been minimal. This month I got one from Howard. I went to 4 parks myself and walked the urban trail as much as I could do on that one. So instead of going through and reviewing Howard's and my forms, I'd like to show you guys what I've been working on to make it a little bit easier and for the purpose of the information gathering and utilization. And so if I may log into the Zoom, do you have the meeting ID number? There it is. And I'd like to log on so I can show you guys online so everyone can take a peek at this. It's pretty great.
Recording in progress.
Maybe it can.
I know the meeting's been had.
I know. Oh my gosh. All right. All right, I don't think that's gonna do that. Okay, sorry about that. I'm gonna put it all the way in a different room. Sorry. Technology is not always great. Okay, so this is the kind of digital assessment form that I've been working on. And this is nothing official, but it is a visual example of what I would like to launch with you guys. So what it is, it's taking the information that you guys have been gathering on that form, except it's expanded, easier to utilize. And the really amazing thing about this is that this will keep all of the information collected and it'll keep it time stamped. So not only will it it offers you the opportunity to say when you visited and where, but also say when you filled out the form. And all of that kind of background information is kept and logged, and all of the information gathered will automatically go into a database, and then you can pull from that. So if you guys have reviewed the master plan anytime recently and you see all those graphs, right, where they polled people for the last master plan, there was 211 responses for the survey that they completed. So they, all of those graphs for the master plan was based on 211 responses. Out of the 211 responses, 185 of them said they had actually visited one of our parks. So 185 responses out of how many citizens here in St. Helens is what they based the information for our previous master plan.
Out of 15,000.
Out of 15,000 people.
Although back then it was only probably 12.
Regardless, 12,000 people, still less than 1%. So if each and every single one of us filled this form out one time a month, we would have better information gathering for a master plan in 1 year than they did from that survey. And it's something that we could do anytime and all the time. And so would you mind clicking on start now? So in here, this is just the first page, and anyone who receives this link can fill it out. And something that's also really neat about this is that I've been contemplating doing one that's for us, right, or city staff. And then one that could be for the general public that is kind of a scaled down version.
I know you mentioned that QR code.
Yep, having a
Scan
QR
this.
code. Yep, and you scan it.
There's the link.
And what's really rad is that way anybody can fill out, what information we're looking to gather. And you can always go through and change what you're looking for, add to it. It won't delete any information gathered at that point, but you can always go in and add stuff if you want to. And so here it allows you, the little red ones are mandatory. So, you can put your name in, right? You can put when you observed it, on the observations performed for, that's what park you went to. So there's the list of all of the parks, the time frame. So again, this is like about what time of the day that you went through. And then just some kind of fun stuff like the weather conditions, right? Which will play a part into, if you're going to Campbell, but it's pouring rain, maybe that's why there's nobody there hanging out, right? But what's really cool is that as we're gathering all of this information, again, this is storing every bit of it into a database that we can access at any time and really keep an eye on demographics and other information. So go ahead and scroll down.
Hey, where's the snow in that description of weather?
I can always edit it. I don't have,
You should
this
put-
this is not the final one.
I go in there and
And then, we're patrons enjoying the park during your visit. Now, okay, so here that looks like the end of the page, right? But click yes. Okay, so now who was there? right? So now you're only getting questions based on the answers that you've already answered. So if there wasn't anybody there, cool, you'll skip on to the next bit. But if there was, here's some information, right? So here's leash dogs or unleashed dogs. So you're going to McCormick Park and there's dogs just running amok. You know, you can mark those things down. Areas for description. And here you can either have, either a fill-in, or we could even do create the demographic. There's like, 0 to 5 people, 5 to 10 people, 10 to 20 people, et cetera, et cetera. And then did you engage with any patrons during your visit? Now click yes. Okay, so now if you did, did they give you feedback, that kind of stuff, right? See if it'll let you go to next without filling in the red star information. It won't. If you just want to put just click a button, one real quick. Oh, it might make you check all of them.
Oh,
So sorry.
yes. Oh,
And don't worry about what you're picking. This is not storing information at this time. Oh, well, all the way to the top. I think you missed who. I'm so sorry. There you go. Yeah, perfect. Great. All right. So then here's where we get to some of the questions that we have. So did you observe any safety issues, right? And kind of a definition of what that is. Then you can click no, or you can click yes. And if you click yes, then what was the information, and be specific. So go ahead and click no. And then you can go on to the next one. So here, cleanliness on a scale of 1 to 3, right? How would you rate it? And so here's, the trash. Was there pet waste? How were the picnic tables, right? And so these are going to be plugging in and creating all of those graphs that we looked at in the master plan. And this is just stuff that it takes 2 seconds to go through and look, because if it's not applicable, you're not touching it, right? If you don't need the extra drop downs, it's not even going to be a thing.
So with these questions, and this after we talked, I picked up this extra form.
Yeah.
Is all of this, are these questions leading to the same data that was grabbed from the master plan before, or these new?
So most of it will ultimately either apply directly to, or give, in my opinion, better information than what was gathered for the previous master plan. So the previous master plan was used as kind of a mental template in creating this.
Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. Because then all of this is done by us slowly throughout the year and getting way better demographics, way better information. And I say better only because it's a higher volume.
Right.
And then, so go ahead and go down to the bottom, and then, so again, for items that need attention, right here, you can describe clearly what needs attention. And what is also cool, Buck, is that we can add in spots that people can put in photographs and stuff too. So if there's something that they're describing or attending to there, they can attach the photo. And so then when that gets sent to, so if I'm the creator of this, I'll get notified every single time someone completes a survey. And then if there's something where it's like, hey, there's a danger, this, whatever, it's something I could forward straight on to you. And it could have like when it was seen, collected, notified, plus photos, right? Go ahead and click next. Again, structures, amenities. Are there any structures or amenities in the park that need attention? Right? So same thing. And you can just click no when we're done, but and here's, for you to describe it. Let's go ahead and click no. And then natural elements, right? So do any of the natural elements of the space need attention? And so that's, the trees, the grass, the flowers, foliage, etc. And this is all information for you, Buck, that could help, kind of see, oh, there's a tree down, or there's, dead limbs hanging, or that, whatever, there's overgrowth here, invasive species area. And again, if it's not there, you can just, NA, or I could say, did you know any invasive species as a yes, no question? And then if it's yes, again, what did you see? That kind of stuff. So this is just a real basic kind of initial concept, but just to show you how it can be structured and in a way that's super easy to fill out, but the information that's gathered is really fantastic and can be done at any time by your phone. So anyone who has the link at any time can fill it out, boom, 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 and then it gathers and keeps all that information. So there's not any person that would be required to then compile it. Because at this point, asking you guys to fill out the paper forms and submit them to me, it's then my responsibility as the person who proposed it to compile it and submit it back. This would make that a non-necessary thing, while also creating, storing all of that demographic information for as long as we wanted to. Then you can access it at any time. This is something that the city staff could create if they wanted to, utilizing the program, or, something that I don't mind continuing on, since I have already purchased the thing to
That's what I was kind of
create
wondering
it.
was where all this would come from and where it would get stored.
Yeah, so right now it's through the Office 365. So it's a packet. I don't know if the city owns anything like this, but it's basically, how they've used like SurveyMonkey and things like that in the past. Imagine that, except for incredible, amazing, and able to store and manage all of the data that you can't do with those other things. So
Yeah, I'll go through our IT guy.
so yeah, so if it's something that you guys already have or utilize, it could be done, and I would love to work on that and help create that. Or since I've already purchased it for this purpose, I have no problem continuing on like finessing it and creating that, and ultimately I could share that with whomever. But again, it's really neat because it's super, super easy to do. You can do it from anywhere at any time with your phone instead of having to carry around paper. Save the trees, don't have to worry about emailing it, dropping it off, or texting it to me, because it would just automatically be stored. And then because the email notifications would kind of trigger if there's important
I
stuff.
kind of went to sleep there towards the after thinking about other stuff. My attention span is not that great. So once you get through doing this,
Mhm.
so at the end, is there like, you push a button and it sends it there?
Mhm.
Oh, it's not there
Yeah,
yet.
so go ahead and just get to the end so Jerry can see that, if that's okay.
Oh,
and then submit.
Okay. And you're gonna eventually give us the website. and
Yeah, because it's just a link.
You'll give that to us.
Yep.
Okay. Sounds pretty easy.
Yeah, it's
I think I might do it.
super easy.
Might.
We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah. The verdict's still out, right?
Yeah.
But I just think that it's a more accessible version. It gives you a greater information gathering power. It eliminates the need for someone to do the back end work because it'll already be completed. And then it's doing the long term.
Writing.
Yeah, you won't have to write nothing, right? It's just real quick and fill it out. And then all of that information will be stored, and not just stored, but graphed and be able to be visible long term in a form that we can utilize then for the future master plan, which is I would love to see us work towards getting a new master plan put together eventually. So does anyone have any questions, feedback, anything about that?
When are you gonna try to implement this?
Well, if you guys will like it, I'm gonna talk with Buck and see if it's something that I can move forward on my own, or if I should get staff to launch it, and what the time frame would look like on that. Because I could have this done this week on my end, and then send out a link, but
And then
Have to get IT involved, to make sure all our bases are covered. Stuff, see what
Okay.
he says. It's no problem. Darren's cool to work with, so.
cool.
and we were talking about, we would have we'd be assigned a park for 3 months, and then we'd after 3 months, we'd go to another park.
Yeah, rotate out to another park.
And those haven't been decided yet either.
No, we haven't decided on those yet because I was waiting for the final feedback on the parks assessment tools, hoping that that more people would have completed that, but you know, taking in the feedback of you know, time constraints, you know, life happens, right? But also the cumbersome nature of having a physical form to take around and fill out. So this would take care of that. And so,
I'd like to add to that point though too, like, I don't think let's say you're assigned to a specific park for 3 months. Nothing's stopping you from filling out another form. If you
Yeah.
missed another park.
yeah. So on that note, I do want to clarify that the parks assignment, then, the purpose of the parks assignment would be that you are agreeing to be responsible to at least go to that park one time and fill out that form one time a month during your time that you have the park. The parks assignments are not to replace or negate any other activities, actions, progress that people want to do additionally. So, you know, Howard can still continue to do whatever he'd like in Nob Hill. You can continue to do whatever you'd like at Botanical Gardens.
And if we want to give a report on a specific park.
You
we
just
can-
add it onto the agenda if you'd like to talk about something, correct? The only thing the parks assignments would be doing is saying, hey, you know, Jerry, this month you're going to go to Walnut and you're gonna go to Great Cliffs and you're gonna fill out this form. You want Walnut? Yeah. Right? But because
Right in the grass.
because it's, you know, such a tiny park, cool, in 3 months, okay, now Howard gets to do Walnut, right? So it's just that rotational aspect of being able to get our eyes on all of the parks, and taking a look at things, because again, people are gonna see things a little bit differently, each time they go.
I think this is getting to its ideal form with the data management and the analysis of it all. I think that's going to be very helpful.
Yeah, I'm very excited to get to this point. I know, you know, when it's a vision in my head and I'm trying to explain it to you guys, it's difficult, but I think having this tangible thing is really helpful so you guys can see where my head has been, if that makes sense. So,
I'm fully on board. I did want to share some of the stuff I got too. 'Cause
yeah,
I just didn't turn it in on time, 'cause the deadline's like a week ahead of our meeting. But I think there's some good things that I wanted to share. So I went to McCormick Park and then I also went to Godfrey Park. At McCormick Park, I walked around, I met Tori. He was working over by the off leash dog park. We introduced myself, had a nice conversation. Also wanted to shout out to the Columbia County jail. They had a work crew out there. They're taking a break before they did some work in the library, so I think it's super neat to see them helping our community and being out there. There's probably 10+ people there. I did find some dog droppings in bags, not at the dog park like I'd expected. They're all by the creek where like hole 1 for the disc golf course was. And so I picked those up, but like there's not, besides the entrance to that area, there's not a trash can. I don't know if we could have like a trash can like close.
Quite a few trash cans throughout that course.
Oh, not on the course itself, it's like where the picnic area is, where the creek is.
I have to look.
Yeah, there is like on the exits and entrances to it, but not actually out in the field where like the picnic table are, so. I'm not gonna share everything, because we already went over a lot, but then, Godfrey Park, it was pretty quiet, one person, but I like the nostalgia of the old school, like, playground equipment, and it was very clean. The only thing I noticed that I would like recommend was the swing set didn't have any swings on it.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that would go as far as getting some new ones. Is it
That's a-
donation based,
That's a
or-
huge deal right there because of the age of it, the style of it.
Right.
What happened was they got so worn that they were literally that thick and we
Oh, okay.
had to remove them because someone was gonna get hurt.
Okay.
And excuse me, the height of the swing set, because the year it was built, safety wasn't a real big factor back then.
Yeah.
The footprint for the chips to be legal underneath that is gigantic.
Okay.
So that would have to be modified. The swings, just to get the swings themselves, if we modify the mounts that are on them, are over $9,000. And then we'd have to modify the whole footprint of it.
So it's a bigger job.
It's a big job and we've had one complaint. They've been pulled out. I have the date written down in my office, but it's been at least a year. And we've only had one complaint that they're gone. And it was from an elderly guy that lives across the street. It was just like, where did the swings go? That's it. I thought people would go, where's our swings, and go crazy, but it was quiet. And you know, you can't just throw a shackle on it or something. All this is certified stuff nowadays with all this safety. So yeah, we just been kind of being quiet, playing the complaint game and seeing how it goes. And it's surprisingly very quiet. But yeah, and as you probably all know right now, money's pretty tight.
Right.
And that park doesn't get a lot of use.
Yeah. That's all I had to share, really.
And I appreciate you going and checking it out, and you know, I recognize it's difficult to fill out the physical forms if you want to print and submit and all that. So hopefully
Vote for electronic.
yeah, the digital form will be great. Paul or Lynn, do you guys have any comments or anything after looking at the virtual form? Yeah, Lynn?
Okay, it's not about the form though, but I did go to a Civic Pride, and I don't know if any of you have been there lately. And the grass at that time 2 weeks ago was really high, and the grass came up to about my waist at the benches, and nothing has been done for the last couple of years except for maybe mowing the lawn occasionally. So on my way out, I was able to talk to Tori. He was on his way in because they assess all the time what parks that they need to mow and put it on schedule and what they need to do. So anyway, I thought, you know what, I'll wait till they get done. It was his idea. He says, wait till before you start pulling the weeds and this and that. We'll try and clear all that out for you. But I got to thinking, all that park needs and all we could really afford would be 3 trees by the 3 benches, and maybe an off-leash dog park could be put there at the very back by the large tree behind the store. And maybe, but that all this is an idea, because we've got to understand that there isn't money available to do all this. But the trees were on sale for $4.99 a piece, but we can't get water to them right now. So there's a lot of things that can be done, but just cleaning it up, I think, and putting a doggy bag post there would be a big help.
I've always thought would be great at Godfrey would be as some future day is for people in apartments is to have some garden plots where somebody could grow their own
Yeah, like
vegetables.
June garden.
I mean, I know we have no money for that, but you still can charge somebody for a plot. I
Right.
wonder what the turnaround rate would be to
Oh,
pay for what it is. Cause in
To
Portland,
fund a new swings.
yeah, well, in Portland, I think they charge like $20 or $40 a
Yeah.
year for a
Yeah.
20 by 20 foot piece of ground.
Well, we have a community garden behind the senior center, and we can't get enough people to take care of it. So, I mean, you got to think about all these different things that are
Oh, yeah.
just beyond what we might want.
I say future.
Yeah, everything in the future, right?
Thank you, Lynn.
Where we're going.
All right. So then I guess Buck, I'll wait to hear, are you gonna reach out to the IT guy, or do I reach out to him?
Yeah, I'll drop it in his ear and see what he has to say.
Okay. Yeah, and if you could just let me know from there, that'd be great.
Okay.
And then I guess from your point of view, what do you think of the the digital form and the information gathered and how it'd be?
I think it's all good. I mean, curious to see if it goes out to the public, how just going to be 3 people go crazy and fill 10 of them out a day? Is it going to be people being halfway cordial, people being, I don't know. It'll be interesting.
We're gonna
Well,
get
that's-
everything.
Oh, there's gonna be some that aren't real nice, I promise you that.
I
Well,
wonder
that's why, sorry, go ahead.
with doing a link like that, if you have to put like an email address.
Mhm.
Can you limit the number of times someone submits in a certain time frame?
I'll have to look into that. I'll have to look into that.
Okay.
Yep,
Prevent that problem of
right,
Joe Smith submitting 20
Right.
reports in the same thing.
Yeah, or someone just putting total fake names, total
Right.
fake everything.
right. Well, and for now, this would just be for like the commission members, right? It wouldn't be a public tool until we really see how it's
So it'd
working
just
for
be
us.
Jerry.
And so it'd just be Jerry doing,
I mean, would there be a way to, kind of separate it? So every once in a while, like in the city's newsletters, sometimes they'll ask a question. So maybe once every 6 months or a year, we give a link to one that was just for the public
oh,
to
anytime.
do it. That way you'd only a couple of
Right.
times a year
Yeah.
face that problem.
Anytime. And what's really cool about this too is that the data that it's collecting also we can use in the, the city's communication tools so that we can say like, hey, this month we noticed this many people were using off-leash dogs in Sixth Street Park, and just do a bulletin on that or something fun like that too. So it kind of goes both ways. Not only is it something that we can use for the community to give us feedback, but then we can give the community feedback based on what we're gathering and looking at too. So I think it's pretty cool. And then again, it can pop up the kind of high alert stuff that for your kind of attention. And being able to attach photos to it is really rad too. So like when I went to McCormick Park one of the days and saw there was all the fish, right? The fish in the stream. So I, took photos of that and was gonna send it over, but I never emailed it. But I know, what do you know what that was about, by the way?
The fish,
Yeah.
they come every year around Easter.
the-
There's, I don't know the real name of them, but they're like a sucker fish, but they're called. The common
Fowl.
name people call them is something, it's basically eagle food. That's why the bald eagles follow.
No, this
Talking about
particular
those?
time, no, there was over a dozen gutted, might have been trout in the stream in McCormick Park.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that.
Oh, I got photos for you.
knows about it.
Like, look at
Oh, he does?
Yeah, it was-
Just the photos.
Yeah, it
I
was
saw something on.
all over
like, where
Facebook.
People were concerned about whether or not.
Well, I think it's illegal to fish in Milton.
So there was a whole bunch of
Is it?
fish
I think so.
and they were all cleaned out. So they were cleaned and gutted. I took up close photos of them. They were all cleaned and gutted and then just like do in the creek right at the bridge, like you're gonna go to the
Sorry.
the
'Cause I've been-
golf.
Seen people where the old Portland goes across fishing right off the bridge there.
It's illegal to fish off a bridge too.
This was one that was on
Oh, okay.
the side. So, but that's something I could have, if the form was available, I could have gone and just done a quick thing and attached a photo and sent it over.
It's in
So,
Ramsey.
all right.
Autumn salmon very broad down there for some reason, I don't know. 'Cause They
Okay.
did just stock salmon.
Thank you so much. And hopefully I'll have a digital survey for you. And if so, check your emails and I'll send it out
Okay.
in the emails. And I can text it to you too, if you prefer texted. I can send it. All right. Moving on then, or I guess before we completely move on, do you want to then go work on assigning parks this month, or do you want to do that add that on as a next month task?
Next month.
Okay, we'll do that. All right, and then moving on, trail cameras.
Okay, it's mainly just probably 3 questions.
Okay, great.
Is it legal for us to have trail cameras in the park to look for problems?
Think so. I don't know that 100%. I don't know. I can talk to some officers and find out. I know we can have cameras places. I don't know what we have to post if it has to say that there's cameras in the area, but I don't 100% know, but I can look into it.
Do we have any cameras in?
We have 10 of them.
Yeah, 10 gate, okay. Cause that was gonna be my next question is, could,
4 of them are cellular ones and the other ones are just, they go on an SD card.
okay,
Cellular ones will go right to my phone. So as soon as it happens, you see it.
okay. It's mainly that one area that I was trying to preserve a creek or occasional wetlands. I had 5 signs stolen off of there, so I'm not doing the signs anymore. And now that the water,
Up at Dalton Lake, huh?
now that the water's dried up, he's not busting out the dam anymore. So it's kind of a moot question of what I was looking for till probably next spring when the water comes back. You know, so that was my main question, so. We just probably gotta find out if it's really legal or how we would have to go about.
Talk to an officer and find out the legality of it, get back to you.
Okay, okay.
Is that all on trail cameras?
Yes.
Okay, great. Moving on to the waterfront landscaping maintenance.
Both of these kind of to me are integrated. I was meaning more of as just one subject, these two things.
For 5 and 6.
Yeah,
Okay.
for 5 and 6, so we're gonna combine them at this time. Waterfront landscaping, since we're kind of responsible for open spaces. I've been noticing how many plants we are having in our parks down here now. How much hand weeding is gonna take up our parks department. You go out to the very end of the property, right at the base of Nob Hill, there's a giant patches of grass that we're gonna have to start mowing and stuff. And
How many garbages we gotta drag 200 yards to get to our truck? All them out.
Yep.
It's everywhere.
so with that, that is why I put number 6 in there. Budget increase for Parks and Trails Commission, because you're gonna get stuck having to maintain all this crap down here.
We've been saying that there's gonna be a maintenance nightmare the entire project, but
So how do we, as the Parks and Trails Commission, since the budget committee meeting right now is for us to somehow light a fire in that if any department needs more money with all this beautiful work that's being done, that we have to maintain it. And so really, somebody else should get cut for once, and we need 1, 2, or 3 more employees for the Parks Department.
How do we support you there?
Yeah, how,
at this point in time, I really, it's horrible timing. Cause our budget is not in a good place. Budget meeting Thursday, I would watch it if I were you and pay attention because there's talks of cuts. There's a lot of stuff going around. Some of it's rumorville, some of it's not, but we are not in a good spot with the general fund. So asking for more of anything right now is, if not impossible, extremely difficult.
Yeah.
well, to me, it's a high priority. That's why, I mean, do we need to?
Well, our high priority right now is the public safety with water, sewer, storm, health, being able to get ambulances down our roads.
Well, at some point, library or somebody needs to take a little bit more of a cut, because if we're investing all this money in a beautiful waterfront, we have to make sure that we maintain it, that we don't let it get out of control. I know you understand. So do we need to take make a motion here saying that the Parks and Trails Commission believes that with all this new landscaping, that somehow, somewhere, they gotta dig up at least one more person? Because from what I'm seeing, you could have one person out there almost working full-time on all this landscaping that's being added to the city. And it's gonna make us look really bad if it's all weed infested, overgrown, plants half dead. It's gonna make us look bad.
I was gonna say, I walked that trail with my wife 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
and I kind of noticed the same thing. It's like, there are these really nice new trees that we planted, but then the rest of the field's just dirt and weeds.
Well, a lot of that's all gonna be grass.
Yeah.
And so, what, another day a week
So Howard,
to mow that much?
I'm open to having a motion
Oh.
that
Sorry,
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I'd like to say something. I just want to make sure that you know that the library also has major cuts that they want to do because they're part of the general fund as well. So
Uh-huh.
when you put that out there, I wanted to make sure that other people knew that that was happening.
Yeah,
To them
it's
as well.
across-
Recreation
it's
department.
Not just general fund either. It's everybody.
Recreation department could, you know, hopefully they're getting their fair share of hits.
You always make your comments to the budget committee at their meetings. Their meetings just like everybody else. You can go and talk in front of them and
On Thursday,
throw your 10 cents out there. I believe it's Thursday. Is that the 15th?
it's Thursday, 6 p.m. All right.
What I was gonna say is, I didn't realize all this. I'm not down here. But I do see all, the entryway.
Yeah.
The entryway, I see
All
all,
on Buck.
yeah, I see all, and I spent the last 2 weeks at my place getting it shape and it's just, whatever, not that
Yeah.
big, I didn't realize it was really an issue, but I can see it is an issue. And granted, nothing may be done immediately, but I am willing to make a motion, that make it aware to the city council that the maintenance of the, I want to say the riverfront project, the maintenance of the riverfront project really requires, an additional person to the park staff.
There's also a ton of irrigation for all of that, and those break, sprinkler heads get hit, things get broke, so that's all plumbing we have to repair too. So it's gonna be a lot.
Yeah, I can see how hard it's almost, a full-time job, down there.
You think it'd be a full-time job? I mean, an extra somebody 1 or 2 days a week?
I mean, I'm gonna have to beg from Public Works Operations to get somebody to help us out down there at times.
The reason I'm making this is just, so the the city council is aware that, there really is an issue because the Parks Department can't do what they need to do right now. And then if we have, major landscaping that needs to be taken care of, then that's just gonna put more strain on.
Prime example is Highway 30. If you're old like me and lived here your whole life, look at Highway 30 when they widened it. They came through, they put in all that irrigation all the way down from Oregon Street, all the way up to Columbia Boulevard. And they put all those plants in there. All those plants slowly died, all that irrigation, what got exposed from the bark dust, the sun killed the pipes, broke it off. We pulled a mile of plastic pipe out of there. And now we have it to where we just mow it, grass, kept it simple.
That's one of my pet.
And the other issue is all those little plants catch every piece of garbage that blows by. And pretty soon you have, instead of your garbage blowing somewhere where, I know it doesn't sound good, where you can't really see it, it's all hanging up in the air in a bush and you drive down our roads and all you can see is these holding a chip bag or a pop.
So I'll make a motion that the Parks and Trails Commission wants to make the city council aware that with the additional landscaping that's going to be taking place on the riverfront project, the Parks
It's branded
Park-
right now.
Department requires another.
I'd say at minimum
Person.
another person.
Yeah. I think we need to catch him up on speed on this one.
I've been listening up until about 10 seconds ago.
Okay, about that we think that we're gonna make a motion that we should have, that the city needs to look with budgeted with all this new landscaping. We really need another parks person, employee. How are we gonna maintain all this stuff that we've spent thousands and thousands of dollars on thousands and thousands of plants? Keep it looking.
I just echo what Buck said, that you can ask, but I do. 99.9% chance that's not gonna happen.
We just tried to hire a utility one and we got that pulled away from it, so.
Well, then why did we spend all this money to put all this landscaping in if we can't maintain it? That's my question.
I share your concerns, because I've said all along, show me a well-maintained flower bed in the city of St. Helens. It is. When your time is spent mowing and maintaining, that we don't have people to go pick weeds out of flower beds. And the first time that I ever came before city council to complain about something was about 6 months after the brand new memorial at McCormick Park was finished and dedicated. 6 months later, it was full of weeds. And yeah, so that's why I always bring back every time we're talking about the Milton Creek Reserve and all of these projects. They're great projects, but everything we add has to be kept up and maintained. So
I mean, I'm gonna propose one here that people will shoot me for. But that is, a lot of communities have 1 or 2 cents per gallon gas tax. And I'm wondering if it's not time for St. Helens to look out for our parks to have a 1 or 2 cent gas tax. Especially if we have huge amounts of people come out for Halloween Town and enjoy our facilities, that would be a way for us to get some of that back.
the budget committees discussed that, but
They want the money for something else, but
so much, but sure there's lots of places to make money, but the studies they did said we would get nowhere near the benefit that Scappoose does from it because they've got Fred Meyer. So it would have a minimal impact here. It doesn't hurt to
I
bring.
mean, they have Fred Meyer or,
Fred Meyer gas station that you go by any given time of the day and that thing's packed full of people.
yeah, we still got a lot of gas stations here. I heard they're building another one possibly by Les Schwab. You know, so we do have that.
It's come up the last couple of years though, is the gas tax, so.
Okay.
So as far as kind of attending to the issue,
Sorry for interrupting you.
No, I made a motion, so.
I'll second your motion.
Yeah, I'll third it.
Yeah.
You know, I
We
wanna,
don't
I
have
I wanna basically word it as strong as we can to the city council.
If you'd like to reword it, but I mean.
No, that's why I thought I wanted to wait, make sure you're here so you could go back and say, hey, they're really worried about this, that people will think really bad of us with all this money that we've spent. If we have weed patches and the grasses aren't mowed on all this new landscaping, they're gonna say there's another thing the city blew.
I just think going back to what you were saying, well, maybe the library needs to take a cut or maybe rec needs to cut. I think everybody's gonna feel it. So I don't think there's anybody that's gonna get away without feeling the budget.
What, the last 3 or 4 years, what we've lost, our secretary and at least 2 full-time employees that were.
I'd have to go back and look on that to be.
I remember Shauna once said, oh, you don't need to fill that position when she was doing, so we lost one back then. So we've been losing, you can only gut a department so far before something needs to be done. Okay.
so as
you
far
got
as the
point.
motions on the floor,
Yes.
can I just ask for clarification real quick before I vote? So this is just, we're just voting to
Make the city council aware that with the current staffing of the Parks Department, you know, they're not gonna be able to take care of the landscaping.
So just kind of a notice to the city council that we feel that with the current staffing, that there's not adequate amount to maintain the new landscaping.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
We need more.
so if we take
people.
one, you know, there's not enough people to take care of the parks now. I don't know if I said, anyway,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. I
However
vote,
that was worded, I
That's
can't
it.
remember.
It seems like we're just kind of like wanting to go on the record is that we're in opposition to what's being done and not having the manpower to do the work, but nothing's really going to happen. So we just want to go on the record. Is that right?
Right. Yes.
'Cause that's pretty much what it is. I mean, but they got to do what they have to do to balance the budget. So, you know,
so did we vote?
Not yet.
So Jerry
Does someone want
motioned.
to read it so we can hear what it sounds like? Jerry?
I just wrote Belcher wanted to make a motion, Flory seconded, the Parks and Trails make council aware that parks can't maintain the new plantings on the riverfront with current staffing.
Without more
should any,
help.
should anything be added to
Said
it
we
that
can't do it with current staffing. That basically means you need to.
Staffing, okay.
I would.
Yeah, but should something be added to that, to the effect that maybe that future projects that this needs to be taken into consideration or something, you know, so that, you know, if there's that concern of taking on additional work that the parks has to take on is to kind of look at that as part of the overall.
Yeah, I mean,
Of the
I
motion
would
was
consider
handled.
adding language in regards to encourage city council to take staffing needs into consideration prior to expanding on the projects.
Yeah, something exactly. Yeah, something like
In
that. Yep.
addition to having them consider adding additional parks maintenance staff now.
Mhm.
And then not on the motion, but just in general, you know, I encourage all of us to pay attention to the budget meeting coming up and keep that in mind as we move forward. All right, so did we do an official vote? So Jerry made the motion. Who seconded?
Howard,
Howard.
sorry.
Oh, Nick did. All right, so all
I
in
said
favor?
third.
I,
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Thank you.
Is that all?
Yep, for
Okay, great.
that subject.
And then Jerry, I'll have you do
Aye.
during discussion items, if that's okay, because it's not on the agenda for the botanical gardens,
That's old business. No, not Botanic Gardens, the
Correct.
urban trail,
the urban trail,
old business.
because we didn't add it onto the agenda. Is that
Okay, I can do it. Discussion items,
Okay, great.
doesn't matter to me.
Great. Staff reports.
Oh, boy. I don't have a whole lot really. We talked to Lynn about the Civic Pride stuff and some other stuff regarding the rock for the parking area for by the trail to Dalton Lake. See what else is going on. The St. Helens Little League is going to be doing the same drainage work on field number 2 that they did on number 1. They paid a contractor. It's like $3,800 to put in some basically perf pipe across the field and get it to go outside to the storm ditch, which helped a lot on number 1. And then they also leveled the field because when you drag it round and around in circles forever, all your dirt's on the outside, so you have big humps. So they leveled it all. They're doing the same thing. The field number 1 turned out really good, so field number 2, I'm sure will also. That's pretty cool that they are investing in the fields. And also, I believe the adult softball league is going to be purchasing some of that fancy dirt to help out with that. So it's nice that they're actually working together and not butting heads. Getting along, so that's good, and getting things improved. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't at the last one, so I don't know if it was brought up about the Nob Hill Park and Japanese garden work parties. I'm sure came up. That Howard cleaned the stairs. Hours to do that. Lynn trimmed the Japanese maples at the library, which looked good. She needs to do the ones in my yard. And thank the Kiwanis Daybreakers for maintaining Walnut Tree Park for over 20 years, which geez, I wish they could keep doing it because it was nice. And they did a great job. But yeah, that's super cool of them. And pretty soon we'll have the concerts here in the park and all that open. So things ought to get crazy here in about a month. Hold on. Let's see what happens.
Do we have an official open when the public can start accessing this yet? Do you know?
They're ribbon cutting on the
I think it's
26th.
Yeah, but will we have access to it before then or no?
Don't know what exactly will all be open, so I can look into it, but
Well, it probably depends how fast the grass gets grown in. It's growing now if you go low, but it's.
My kids are anxious to go play on the playground.
Very fragile. For a while.
yeah, that's about all I have.
Thank you. All right, counselors report.
I don't have a whole lot other than, again, thank you guys. Thank you for staying aware and concerned. And like I say, I share a lot of your concerns. There are things that I brought up before and they're concerns, so keep voicing them. And like Buck said, we're in the middle of budget season. We had our first meeting. The next one's tomorrow at 6. So if you can't show up in person, tune in, watch it afterwards.
Is there a public comment?
There is, yep. What's today? No, yeah, I'm all mixed up now. Thursday.
Thursday at 6, okay.
Thursday at 6 in this room. So
you know, I have a question about that in general. If I already go to that. If I make a public comment, can it be as a representative from the Parks Commission? We have to vote on that.
I'm not sure,
Interesting question, because I was thinking the same thing. I would
Right.
love to go
I
and
was gonna
mention
say, if you're
what
gonna
we
go,
just gave the
yeah.
thing.
so when
So,
I've gone and made public comments, I've done so on behalf of myself as a citizen
Mhm.
and been clear about that at the beginning of my statement.
That's the way I think it should be. If we don't agree, I think it should be individual, but there's nothing that can't. keep
We
us from
also
doing it,
just
so.
voted
Right.
to make that
I
aware.
was gonna say,
And so I think at this
I would
point-
still like to see one of us go in there and
You as
say
a
something.
Representative for the.
So in this part,
But you, as a commission, you couldn't appoint a delegate
Yeah.
to speak on your behalf if
So-
that's,
Yep.
if the commission agrees on that.
yeah,
We could.
because we just made a motion and we just voted on it for that exactly.
I'm open to that option if you want to, make a motion.
I would like to see one of us go in there and do it. I don't know if a whole bunch of us needs to do it, but I would like to see
One representative.
one representative. So I guess we just have to decide who. If you want to be newer rabble
Alright.
rouser for us, I would gladly keep myself out of it a little bit for once in my life.
However, a
But
new voice would probably be nice.
I know, right?
there you go. That's
I know
why.
people are tired of listening to me. I don't want that.
So, yes, if you
You want to make a motion?
make a motion to get his name already.
Nick.
To let Nick go speak for the Parks Commission to the Budget Committee about increasing staffing and especially with the new maintenance or the new plantings that are down.
Second.
All in favor of having Nick go to the budget meeting and speaking on behalf of the Parks Commission?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye. Excuse me.
Okay,
That's 6 P.M. here, right? Yeah.
all right, fantastic. Okay, anything else, Brandon?
Anything you guys need? Any questions? Anything I can?
Did you get a chance to, you said you were listening in, did you get a chance to look at the online survey thing?
Just from what I saw on the screen, so I haven't personally looked at it yet.
Okay, great. Well, and I haven't launched it publicly, it's just, I just showed it here. And so if you had any questions, let me know.
Okay, no, look great.
All right, okay, discussion items, Jerry.
I lied to you. I said I was gonna do this in less than 5 minutes. But I have 40 minutes I see on the clock.
No, I got a little more.
You got 5
It's gonna
minutes.
take more than 5 minutes because I think we're kind of getting here to the end and I wanna,
Yeah.
we've talked about money and everything else. I wanna talk about. I know you guys are sick of this. It's been going on for probably about 5.5 years. I wanna talk about the urban trail. So I'll just start out by St. Helens Urban Trail. Visit 5 parks and explore St. Helens historic riverfront, riverfront, yeah. And that's what we're really trying to do is to get people down here, let the people have a nice trail by parks. One of them is County Park, by the way. And so I want to just go over a couple things and I've already told Buck or informed him that what I was going to ask him of towards the end of this. But I want to talk about money because money and budget has been a big thing. The urban trail, at least in the initial setup, is not going to cost a lot of money. I don't know how much, but it's not going to cost a lot. Okay, it's not like, we're not talking $5,000 or $6,000 here. Well, maybe with labor we are. So I want to talk about the things that need to be done here. One, we wanted to have a kiosk down by the new park. Okay. Earlier on, Buck said that they had surplus lumber and they have a very good carpenter that could build that kiosk. So as far as money is concerned, the kiosk, it would cost labor because Ron would be Ron, right? What's Roger? Roger would be doing that. So it would cost, some time. So the kiosk is not going to really take any money that we're going to actually have to get. It'll take some time to get the cost there. When the kiosk is up, Dana and maybe Miss working with Crystal, as we saw her skills with the parks related, the parks assessment tool review, we saw that, Dana really does have some talents, and she says she has some other friends that have talents, and she needs to work with Crystal, but to have a QR code and maps put on the kiosk and all this. I don't know how much that's gonna cost, but we're not talking a lot of money because Dana's gonna be donating her time to do that. So we have a kiosk. We have the information there. We have maps of where the trail goes. And we have QR codes on it so people can, look at it and see where the trail goes. So money is not real big. Okay, marking the trail. Again, I'm gonna go back with Buck. Okay, and I see Doug all the time. In fact, I just was with him Saturday. And I didn't talk to him about it. I should have. But when we first started talking about this, Doug and I said that we would donate the bags of concrete. We're probably talking $50 or $60, maybe not even that much, We're talking about pouring pads that are probably, I don't know, 1.5 by 1.5 or 2 feet by 2 feet. And then on top of that, Dana's gonna make the
laser cut like stencils.
yeah, that's like the kiosk to our,
Mhm.
our old courthouse,
Uh-huh.
that's gonna be the logo for our trail.
Mhm.
And so Dana's gonna do that. Originally, Howard, myself, Doug said we would go ahead and put these in. But then later on, like I'm not putting words in your mouth, because he did say this at one time. He can go back on it if he wants to, but we actually went and marked on the trail where there would be these concrete slabs.
Squares, yeah.
Concrete squares where the logo would be put on them. And there's not that many of them that need to be poured. And then on top of them would go the logo. Then on the sidewalks and the asphalt, the roads, then we would just have the logo painted on there. Okay, getting back to the paint. Buck has said that they have pallets of paint they use to paint
In the streets.
line the streets with. And he said that Parks Department would be willing to donate. Yes, that's gonna cost some money, but probably be 5 at the most, I would think. I wouldn't even think 5 gallons of paint.
It's not gonna take a lot of paint.
Not gonna take a lot of paint. So I'm talking money here, because I know that we're gonna do money here.
Mhm.
So I want to say that, the urban trail, this is not a finished product. It'll be marked. We'll have a QR code. People can come and visit St. Helens, walk the trail, visit the 5 parks, visit historic riverfront. They can do all that stuff. And as the years go by, we probably have more benches. We need to improve probably the Cliff Trail, but the Cliff Trail has been improved. People can get up it. We also have a part of the trail that's ADA. And the other thing that I want to mention right now, I'm not going to dig out any maps because I've talked about this a bunch of times. But somewhere down the line, that bottom part will probably be closed again. But part of the ADA is it comes basically through Plaza Park. It goes down in front of what's the name? Creek. I drank there quite a bit.
Crooked Creek.
Crooked, he goes by Crooked Creek
There's a
Tavern.
trail that was closed hopefully there now.
And we're hoping that'll never be closed. So if this part of the trail gets closed, for a year or so in further development, we can change the map and say, okay, we're gonna go through Plaza Park, down by the tavern and that way. So I don't think money-wise it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna take some labor on Rogers' part, to get that done. It's gonna take some labor on your part. It is gonna take some staff to paint the logo. And I know originally we said we'd do that, but I think I got the opinion that Buck, he would like to pour,
I'm still willing to pour the concrete or maybe just dig it out for you.
I'm not opposed to someone else pouring the concrete as long as
My guy can build the form and you use that form every time, so that you're uniform, they're the same.
Correct.
It'd be simple. But I would just assume we do the painting,
okay,
because that involves our paint machine, that's cleaning that paint machine, and if you screw it up, it's expensive, we don't have any money, we will have another one, then I'll have to blame you for the streets.
well, I can't speak for Doug, but I'm willing to pay for the concrete. I mean, it's probably less than $50. I mean, I think I got.
No, $50 don't go very far, Jerry.
What's a bag of concrete cost? I mean,
$5-6 probably
yeah,
now.
anyway, I don't care, doesn't matter. And I've poured quite a few of these little pads because I put up my mailbox, I've put up 7 totem poles and every one of them has a, I know how to do that. And
Yeah.
I've also used rebar in the bottom of them, so they're anchored really well too, Buck, if, there's not rock that you go through. So the thing I've talked to Buck about, we need to get formal approval to do this. And I would like to make a motion to request, Buck Tupper to get formal approval for the kiosk, marking the trail, the QR codes, to install the urban trail.
And before you go with the second or do anything else, is this still your official map of where you want everything?
I don't know, but I have to look at it a lot closer.
Because you have 13 concrete pads here and a lot of them painted. My thoughts on this are, can we start with minimalize it a little bit?
Yeah, this
And then we can add more later, you know what I mean?
Like probably 3 years ago. Buck.
Oh, I know, I was.
I think there's an updated version since then.
Okay,
This
so-
one, but it doesn't have any. of
So
those.
Buck, I'll let you make the decision on where they should go and where they shouldn't go. Because, we had 4 of them along
Right.
the riverfront. And probably don't need 4 because we need to start with the kiosks, so there probably doesn't need to be one there.
I'll go through it then and I'll put what I think would be the minimal to start with, and then I'll go over it with you and we'll see what you think.
Yeah, I don't even know if I have a copy of this anymore. I hope I see. Don't lose this. You can't see this. We went through,
Like gold.
there was a group of us that went through and we marked with squares where the concrete pad should go. Okay? And then we marked with X's where it should be painted.
Directions or mile marking?
Yes, we, at one time, we had all of these located. It's been like 3 or 4 years ago, we had all of these. Like they were by a telephone pole, we said, okay, this is the number that was by the telephone pole. If the concrete blocks pads are there, and the other thing is. The trail doesn't go through this part of the park anymore either.
Right.
It goes. Things have changed over the years.
Shouldn't have showed you the map.
It goes kind of like. That, yeah. But. Yes, at one time, everything had a code on it and everything. I might have that there, I don't know. But this has been going on for a long time, so it's,
So you'd like Buck to go through
yeah,
and mark
yeah.
kind of a new recommendation for. which-
Especially if there's the QR
Yeah.
codes, especially if we have a map there. And the QR, it's pretty logical. The only place that it's not really going through Nob Hill Park. That needs to be marked really well. And then when you get to the end of Nob Hill Park through the end of the walkway there. And where you make that right down, is it Plymouth Street there? What's the Plymouth Street right away and you go down to Parkway Street. That needs to be, marked well so people can know, hey, I go here and that but most of it is, and
You have 11 of them going down 4th Street. I think that's a bit much.
Oh, yeah.
You don't need to look down every 20 steps and go, yeah, I'm going the right way. I mean, it is still saying, oh, it's not a huge town, but I mean, we can put in the minimal and we can always add more. I just don't. Yeah, let's get her rolling and then we'll get it.
Yeah.
And I just, I know that the Parks Department, I really appreciate how everyone's been very supportive of this. I know you're tired of listening to me and everything. You're probably getting sick of it. I'm getting sick of it too. But I really do think this is a good thing for St. Helens.
That's really great. And I would like to see, moving forward too, talking about budget and finances and stuff. Opening up the discussion on whether or not we can look into some grants for, I know, there's potential for, trails, also, the, kind of walking, tourism, grants and stuff out there.
That's kind of a bummer too, because that's becoming a problem getting grants too, because all.
Yeah, I've talked to people and, I've talked to.
It's, potential for the future.
Couple questions real quick, Jerry. So other than the portions that are closed right now, what's stopping people from walking the urban trail right now?
Nothing,
I walked it.
So
zero.
why couldn't we, I know we've mentioned this before way back when. You gotta get a kiosk, which is gonna be fairly low cost. Create a QR code, that's free, stick it up there. You could create a Google map on your phone. Walk the trail. Before you have any concrete poured, before you have any painting done. You open your phone and it would show you right where to go, and you can do that for free. That'd be a way to get started. And then if there's portions of the trail that close in the future, you get online, you change the boundaries. No cost to change any of that. I just think that would be a nice way to get started and maybe.
Any way to get started, at least 3 foot in the ground.
Yeah.
That's something.
And for-
Personally, we've waited this long. This is my take on it. We've waited this long. And when the riverfront trail gets, gets opened up, we could, I'd like to see it looking like, a trail that I've walked on. And my wife, I mean, when this first started, I was an avid walker. For years, I was an avid walker. I don't walk like I used to because next week I'll be 78. No, I'll be 78 this week. It's my birthday week. And but I would like to see it as a trail that when people from out of town come here, and then somewhere down the line, I'd also like to see mile markers in there also. I'd like to see the Cliff Trail getting improved, but like you said, Brandon, there's no reason we can't do it now, but I would like to see it, marked so that when people came and visited St. Helens, they're walking the trail. And I'd also like to see the portion of the ADA trail, marked off too, so. Cause people can go all the way from, the marina down to the far end, ADA. I know they probably can't go along the riverfront because it's maybe not gravel and stuff like that, but some people would be able to do that.
Right, but I think what we're getting at is if we just get the thing going and it's real and the urban trail actually exists and we can talk about it and it's really something you could go walk on and then improvements are easy to go. Hey, you know what? We need to improve this because it's part of the urban trail. Well, not right now. The urban trail really is nothing. So we make it something, then we can improve on it easily. It's almost easier for me to get asks and get things when it's already a real thing.
I know for my reasoning on kind of postponing the creation of the QR code and the virtual map and stuff for the public to utilize was waiting for this area to kind of be finished and reopened, because there was so much that was kind of up in the air and it kind of changed over the last, 2 years. And but now that that's tangible and now that it's about to launch and open, it's another reason why I've been kind of like antsy and asking when the public will be have access.
That's go time. You gotta go for it.
But now's the time to launch it, and it's super easy to do it with the virtual mapping and the QR code.
Like Brandon said, you can go online and change it. You can put signage on your kiosk.
I'm not opposed to that, but as soon as we can, I would like to get the concrete pads done, the streets marked.
Mhm.
And then
Because a
somewhere
couple-
down the line, we need to, promote it. I think, when you talk yourself and Crystal, we need to get it on the internet. And there's just a ton of people who go and they look for trails to go walk. I mean, an amazing number of people.
Get on like My Trails app. Look it up.
Because the other one too is with the concrete and stuff, we've got really good volunteers that aren't getting any younger. That would love to help do that part of it, so. Not to mean we're aging out or anything, Jerry, but we're getting there.
But the motion I was gonna make, I don't know how I worded it out, but I would like to ask, Buck Tupper to get, formal approval so that we can start working on the urban trail.
Do we need to make a motion for formal approval to start working on the installation of those things? Because
I don't know the legality of it with the meeting stuff but
You only need to make motions if you're making a recommendation to council.
yeah, and I don't think we have to on this case, right? Because they've already.
I mean, when I get time, I'll walk the trail and mark where I think the signs can go and see how it compares to the map Jerry and I did together.
Yeah.
And then I'll go to engineering at first and sit down with them and make sure they don't have any issues with it, or it's not, it's not gonna. I don't know, but some of the stuff has to be painted different colors.
Yeah.
Make sure it's all legit with them, make sure it's all good with planning. We're not gonna confuse anybody or make directions in places where we don't need to, and go from there.
Great. Yeah, so I think we can move forward without having to do an official motion.
Buck's gonna take care of that.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Brad, we expect your support.
All right. Anything else on that or other discussion items? Yes.
I do.
Okay, just a minute, Lynn. Howard's gonna go and then I'll have you go.
Well, go ahead. You're online. Go ahead, Lynn. You go first.
Thank you.
I'll yield to Lynn for this minute.
You're muted.
Thank you. I'm going to piggyback on what Jerry said because we had decided about 2 to 3 years ago, we discussed having a shorter version of the kiosks that are at Dalton and Nob Hill. And it was all approved, and we were going to do one not only for Botanical Gardens, but for the Urban Trail and Civic Pride, because Civic Pride didn't have anything either. And so I'd like to piggyback on that and get a kiosk for at least Civic Pride, so they know what the history is there. And Brandon has all the pictures and the history for that, so we can get that on the kiosk. But at least they would know what it is, what it stood for, what activities they had there. And I'll probably be working on cleaning that up too. Jerry, did you remember that was about half the size? We were going to get about
Oh, yeah,
half.
I remember, I
okay.
remember the designs. Yes.
Right.
We had the designs. I don't know if I have them in my records anymore or not. You probably do.
I do.
Yeah.
But also I want to agree with what Brandon was saying about the QR codes, and you can get that from Crystal. That's who I got it from. And we put it on the map. And if you just have a map, even if you change the map later, you've got a QR code with the trails. And once that kiosk is made, just plop that map on there, and at Dalton Lake, they can do that and look and see on their phone where the trails are.
Yep.
So, let's see what else. Oh, I got also Japanese garden work party for May 31st, Saturday from 10 to 12. And then a Dalton Lake work party on June 7th. And hopefully, now I have to get together with Roger and Buck, but it's time to clear a new trail off of the private property so we can use it, because it's been a problem, going across private property when we really shouldn't be doing that. So we've got a way to get that, but I've got to talk to Roger and Buck about it. But that's what I'd like to do at the work party. Just go right up the hill on the west side. See, I think that is, one more thing. And I'll talk to you, Buck, about this, but the library at the back entrance, I cut the Japanese maples, but I noticed there's a lot of weeds and grass in between the other plants. Do you mind if I go and start pulling on those too and get that cleared out? It'll look a lot better.
I don't mind one bit. You go for it.
I didn't know if you already had plans for that or not.
That'd be great.
Okay, thanks. That's it.
All right. Thank you so much. Howard?
Okay, if you guys haven't gone down and looked at the new area, a lot of people actually think that's an outhouse or a bathroom facility down at the base of Nob Hill now.
Yeah.
People are always saying, oh, and they're putting in a nice bathroom down there. I'm like, no, it's a sewer pump station. So that's also where once again, now Lynn's asking for another one. I've been asking for that. Since that is going to be such a key point with a lit trail that leads right to the base, I think that we need to have one of these mini kiosks at the base of the stairs going up into Nob Hill now. Fairly soon, just so people understand what Nob Hill Nature Park is with some of our signage, saying what we kind of go after for the park, you know? There's also, looking at the, also, I've talked to Mohammed about it and it's starting to become a little bit more, we have to look at that staircase. And I've always said it was really crazy putting a handrail up the middle of a 4 foot wide staircase, which narrows you to 2 feet. And I've already cleaned it up. I cleaned it up a couple of weeks ago. The barricades have been removed from it. So it looks like whoever put the barricades there, that it's cool to go on that staircase now. And a lot of dogs are going up it. So you're ending up with debris that goes down on each side, which is narrowing that 2 foot that you have to walk up there even narrower. So I would once again like to say we need to start talking to Mohammed or Buck about getting that handrail moved to one side or the other. Personally, I think it should be on the left side as you're going up to keep people from wanting to go off that side of the bank. And
Now, we went through that when we put that in, but then it was, well, now it's only for going down because you have to walk on the right side. So then the uphill people are walking the same side as the people that are coming back down. That's where that controversy came in.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then we were also, well, if we anchor them on the side of those logs, we can't use very long anchors because you're so close to the edge. One little push like this and they pull right out because they're close to the edge. They're not right in the middle.
The same breath with that is though that an adult can't walk a kid up side by side. Anybody who walks a dog, the dog immediately goes off the trail and tears up the vegetation that you have because you're only 2 foot wide. And I've already started noticing that with increased traffic once again, that a lot of rock gets onto the steps. So I'm thinking that I'm probably, if I keep doing it, probably every week or two, you have to go in there and sweep the stairs.
They're primitive stairs. I mean, they're just fancy about them.
So, that's why if we have the handrail to one side or the other, or handrail on both sides, you're gonna spread the wear pattern out over more of the steps, rather than if it's only 2 foot wide, 100% of that wear is gonna take place in the exact same place. Which leads me to another one is that, I believe we've already got rot growing. There's one of those steps that it's very hollow sounding. And so I'm thinking that there could also be a railroad tie in there that may almost need to be replaced already. So I'm still in favor of trying to get that handrail out of the middle of that thing. So that it, literally, when you think of it, a 2 foot wide path for somebody to go. I mean, how does an adult show a kid how to go up the
They
steps?
all are at Columbia View Park.
What's that?
Go walk down the stairs at Columbia View Park. Handrails are right down the middle.
How wide are the stairs? I mean, do you have more than 2 feet? Because we're 4 foot wide, a handrail up the middle means you got 2 foot step, 2 foot wide. Which is very narrow. I mean, I always kind of wondered if it wasn't put in more for Tina to separate foot traffic from one side to the other when they were doing Halloween Town.
To be honest, they're just primitive stairs. They're not ADA, they're not.
Well, I mean,
It's something inexpensive that do we have to have stairs to get up to the top? I mean.
yeah, because I mean, that's a real focal point. We built a brand new lit path that goes to the base of a staircase into a park that's lit, which means we're gonna have a lot more people walking that. And so we have to think of the future growth that we're promoting by having the only paved path out there. That's a real good walking path right now. We have to be looking at that. That's an important staircase now. I don't know if, thinking of how going up the other one where it's concreted behind the step edges so that rock isn't always moving around. I'm not sure that would be a good solution there to stop rock from moving around, for the simple reason that we have an occasional creek that comes down there sometimes.
Always gonna be an edge to rock, so there's always There's always an edge, you know.
Yeah,
I
so-
don't know what the solution is there.
So if we have rock's permeable, so if water gets in there, at least it's going behind the steps. If they were concrete, then that means that the water would just go down and down and down and down. That'd be compounded at the bottom rather than maybe soaking into some of the back of the steps. You know, but once again, there's a lot of maintenance that's gonna have to be thought about in that area. Which I know we don't have, so I mean, I'm just trying to look at how it makes it easier for volunteers to take care of it, and it's gonna be a lot more of a nightmare for volunteers if the handrail's in the middle of the stairs and not to one side or the other. Also, just so you know, I'm hoping in the next week or so to get in there and start mowing the Fifth Street right away. I just haven't had a chance, and I know the grass is probably getting longer in there, but hopefully in the next week or so, I will get that for you, so you don't have to worry if you hear somebody going, the grass is too long in there. I'm still planning to get it for you.
I haven't had any complaints yet.
Okay, I know a couple of weeks ago it was getting very narrow and I haven't been back, so it's on my mind. Thank you for your hard work.
Is that all?
Mhm.
Okay. Anything else for discussion items? Okay, then we can adjourn the meeting. Thank you, guys.
Pouring so hard at that time. And I helped move the.
Finish before 6, Dana.
And I helped